Everything was clean. The AC was set to a comfortable temperature. I had finger foods out, chill music playing and a candle going. I was still new to this, and this was one of my first solo events, but I felt like I was ready. The house was a cute 1-story, 3-bedroom with 2 baths. A perfect starter home. It needed some updating, but it was nothing too crazy that an average DIYer couldn't handle. I was surprised at the time that the family had wanted to sell it at all. They had only lived there for a very short time. They had tried to distance themselves from the process as much as possible. They had even refused to set foot inside the home since they had left. I was feeling good and had an hour to spare before the open house started and people started streaming in. To pass the time and calm my nerves, I decided to wander through the house as another last-minute refresher for any questions I'd get on the house itself. I walked around the kitchen, living room, stairs. Wait. I stopped abruptly, so abruptly that I nearly tripped myself. This house was only 1 story. There was no second floor visible from the outside, and I was fairly certain that these stairs were not here when I got here. I was sure of it. The staircase looked like it fit with the house, and since staircases don't appear out of nowhere, I thought maybe I was so nervous that I was just losing my damn mind. I decided to check my paperwork. It did say that it was only a 1-story. Maybe it was just an attic or a crawl space, and I'd missed it before. There was a small landing with just a door at the top. I figured it would be good to check it out just in case. Just in case I got questions about it. As I stepped through the door, it was like stepping back in time. I also felt pressure on my eyes, as if I were on an airplane making a landing. The upstairs had a musty smell to it. There was a small extra kitchen, another living room, a bathroom, a bedroom, and a locked room with a glass door. But a full-length curtain on the inside of the door obscuring the interior from my view. I stopped to take it in, and the curtain seemed to flutter slightly, as if there was a slight breeze or something moving behind it. The bedroom had wallpaper consisting of ornate patterns and velvet flowers. I had never seen anything like it. This place looked like it hadn't been touched in decades, but there was no dust or other signs of age-related wear. A sudden sound from around the corner made me jump. I followed the source. A radio had suddenly started playing in the living room. It made a sound as if it were between stations. There was a soft lime green sofa and a TV that looked older than I was. Yeah, this place was definitely straight out of the 70s. The thing is, the house was built in the 90s. There was another odd curtained room off the living room as well. It looked identical to the first, but this one's door was open, just a crack. I couldn't describe why, but It made me nervous. I suddenly noticed that despite it being 6 p.m. in July, it was pitch black outside. Something about this floor, besides it appearing out of nowhere, gave me a really weird feeling. Despite the cherry colors, it felt like a thin veneer painted over something much, much darker. I decided I had spent enough time up there and found myself thinking, I hope the upstairs disappears again by the time the guests arrive. Which was a sentence I never imagined I'd find myself uttering. I rounded the corner back into the tiny kitchen, but it was different. Cabinets were open that had been closed, but worse, the door to the stairs was just gone. This top floor couldn't have been more than 1,000 square feet. There was no way I had just got lost. I decided to retrace my steps. Maybe I hadn't come through the kitchen after all. I went back down the hall to the bedroom and the bathroom, the curtained room. It was gone. I felt a roar. I know this doesn't make sense, but I don't know what to do about it sort of panic. I leaned into the bathroom with the fuzzy wallpaper and noticed the curtained room was in the bedroom now, but the door was open more. I could hear faint sounds coming from behind it, and I knew I didn't want to stick around to find out what was behind the door when it opened all the way. I walked quickly back and stuck my head into the living room. The curtained room was gone, and the door to the stairs I had taken up had yet to reappear. A new door had appeared, though, at the back of the kitchen. I debated and decided to open it. To my immense relief, there were stairs, but the more I looked, the more I realized it wasn't right. It was dark at the bottom, so dark that part of the stairs blended into and then disappeared into a blackness as velvety as the old wallpaper. These stairs also looked old, much older than the rest of the house appeared to be. Before I realized what I was doing, I had already walked down several steps. I had an inexplicable urge to continue downward. Something was down there that I needed. It was old, ancient maybe. It needed me too. I was here and it had waited so long. It felt good to be needed. It felt right descending into the darkness. Its elation was infectious. It vibrated through the air. No, elation isn't the right word. It was the yearning of something hollow, dangerous, looking to be full. It was needful. I was terrified. I knew something horrible was down there, and I kept continuing towards it against my will. In my mind, fear and self-preservation were fighting a losing battle against whatever it was down there that had its hooks in me, pulling me towards it. The air was electric with its excitement. My foot began to disappear into the horrid, beautiful, foreboding darkness. In the distance, A door opened and closed, shattering the silence. Someone was calling out. I blinked. It was a light in the darkness. The open home. In that moment, the connection between the thing in the darkness and myself was broken. I took advantage of this distraction and ran back up the stairs and slammed the door behind me. Someone was downstairs looking for me. I ran through the kitchenette and the door to the stairs. It was back. The real stairs. I could have cried in relief, but didn't dare blink or let anything obscure my vision, lest it disappear again. The curtained door had also moved again, so that it was right next to the door to the stairs. The door opened towards the back hall, so that I could look inside from where I was standing. It was halfway open this time. My instincts told me, do not look in there. Don't look. I reached the handle of the door to the downstairs. A soft cry was coming from the curtained room. It was alien, unlike anything I had heard before. It was not a mournful sound. Don't look. My hand tightened on the door handle, and I heard the cry become louder, closer to the entrance of the partially opened door. It was coming. I spun around and closed the door and darted down the stairs. I looked over my shoulder, but nothing had followed me. Someone had shown up early, and I must have made a terrible first impression as I came flying down the stairs, sweaty, eyes wide with terror. I tried to get myself together and think of some way to explain my terrible state, but before I could even figure out what to say, he gestured to my ears. "Sir, are you okay?" I gingerly touched, first one, then the other, and sure enough, a small trickle of blood was leaking from each ear. I hadn't even noticed it, but it had been dripping down, staining the collar of my shirt. I managed to collect myself a bit before the rest of the potential buyers came filling in and let my hair down to hide the bloodstains. The rest of the night was a blur, honestly. I was on edge, ready to leave and lock myself in my apartment. Just sleep with all the lights on. I was never gonna go into a dark room again. I could barely focus. I hoped more than I'd ever hoped for anything before that no one would go up the stairs or make me go up there again. The stairs were still there, but not a single guest approached them, asked me about them, or even acknowledged them. They walked around them like there was just an invisible obstacle there. For a while, as I nodded and answered questions robotically, I wondered if I had imagined the whole thing, if I was truly losing my grip on reality. The only thing that confirmed to me that I hadn't had some sort of waking nightmare was when the first guest stopped me on his way out. He told me to take care, that it was gonna be okay, and I almost hugged him. I think he saved my life by giving me some sort of anchor to reality. He took one last look at me and then very clearly stared up at the door at the top of the stairs for quite a while. That was one of the weirdest and scariest things I've experienced, but it's not even the worst part. When I got back home, I noticed something in the hallway of my apartment, a door that had never been there before, made of glass with a curtain obscuring the view from the inside. It was only open a crack, but it was enough for me to hear the sound, like a failed attempt at mimicking a crying child, echoing down the empty hall. Hello everyone, Grim here. I finally remembered how I normally end these things. It only took me a couple of recordings. That was another amazing story written by the talented Jam Franz. This individual has been a star for me, always allowing me to narrate their stories, and it has been an absolute pleasure to work with them. This is just another one of those times where I look back and go, wow, I can't believe how much talent this person has. Well, thank you, Jamie, for allowing me to read another one of these. Whilst I'm pretty sure you don't know that I've read it yet, I'm sure I will have told you before it goes up live. If not, oops, no, I'm kidding. But anyway, I've got nothing really new to add, but I hope you've enjoyed what you've heard tonight, and that you come along for another amazing tale in the future. Remember, be safe wherever you are. And as always, this is Grim, and I'm, well, signing off.